In 20 minutes. Before we depart this conversation about Ramos and the kids, there's one other thing from Bobby Evans yesterday that I think we wanted to kind of go back over, because did your eyebrows go up like mine did when he said this? So when we're really trying to dive deep on the sending down of Luis Matos, and as FP told us, he's hearing Luis was crushed. And that's not surprising, because the sending down of Luis was surprising. So Luis is crushed, and we asked him about it. And listen to the first thing that Bobby Evans says in response.
My empathy immediately goes to the front office, because it's not what you want to do. I mean, you certainly don't want to send one of your young kids who's already proven that he's got the potential to stick. You don't want to send him down, and yet you're trying to balance, a roster for a long season. And so it really empathize with the player, empathize with the club. I mean, it's a tough circumstance. I mean, it's a bad time to go cold for 4 or 5 games, right? Somebody's coming off the DL. You don't want to be the guy that's turned cold, even especially as hot as he was. So it's not a good situation. It's not what you want. And as a club, you're looking for a way to get him back here as soon as possible, because he needs to be here.
My empathy immediately. Hey, Bobby, Luis is crushed. Can you believe this crap? Yeah, my empathy immediately goes to the front office.
Yeah. Well, that's where he's from. And that's the cloth that he's cut from. And honestly, you got a 22-year-old guy who is going to be back. This is not him having his baseball career end. This is not a football player getting cut at the end of training camp and never having another chance to be a pro athlete. You got sent down to Sacramento. And I get it that you're crushed, and it's hard, and you were in the show, and you had a great start. You were the National League Player of the Week, for crying out loud. Then you fell on hard times, and then you get called into Skipper's office, and he gives you the hard news. Yeah, it's tough, but you're 22. I get it. You can shake that off.
Yeah.
There'll be brighter days ahead, Luis.
You need way more beers before you say that.
Yeah.
I don't like sober dibs.
Sorry.
There'll be brighter days ahead.
Excuse me, Luis.
Look, that is part of this. This is professional sports. We don't get to stay in the big leagues just because you want to.
Right.
Okay? Like that's not, we're not doing that. So that's absurd. But if you're told, or it's insinuated that you're going to be the starting center fielder for the rest of the year, and you've got runway to do that, and then this happens just a couple weeks later, you can get how this caught him off guard. It caught all the fans off guard, no doubt. So, I understand that. I just think that the more I look at this, and we do have, by the way, we've got a Giants injury update that I think will actually help take us through this conversation. And I still keep getting weird feelings, because the guys just sent us the injury report.
Right.
And the first thing I did is, where's the Nick Ahmed news? Oh, can't wait to get that 235 hitter back. So Nick Ahmed, with the left wrist sprain, has resumed full baseball activities in Arizona. And I really believe that however long it takes Nick, it might even be sooner, but when Nick gets back, I think Luis comes back. I got the over-under for Luis getting back at like 2 weeks. At 2 weeks. And I think he's right back up.
It's Ahmed comes back, and then Matos comes back, and you send out Schmidt and Wisely?
Schmidt and Wisely, Schmidt and Fitzgerald.
Yeah.
I mean, if Ramos is going to stay up, if Slater is back, if you've got your shortstop, I like Tyler Fitzgerald, but is there we need him on this roster? Do you need a right-handed hitting outfielder if you've also got Ramos and Slater?
I think you do, because I feel the need for speed.
But that could be Matos. He also runs well.
Yes, but as far as like a late inning pinch runner, that would be Fitzgerald. Because, you're going to play, you would figure you're going to play Matos, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if you bring him back, you want to play him. You don't want to bring up a young guy and not play him.
He's going to play. He's going to play. I mean, you've only got 2 left-handed hitting outfielders. At least one right-handed one is going to play every day. I get it that's usually going to be Ramos. But, I think, look, I think he's going to play. Maybe not every day, but he's going to play at least a big role. And, I don't think the runway, those of you who are just so, and I know it's a lot of you, are just so sick and tired of Austin Slater. First of all, I'd argue that there's a little recency bias there. He's never been a devastating player. But like Larry Kruger's point during the crossover, was a little disingenuous. He's never hit 20 homers in the bigs. He's not a full-time player. And they're not asking him to be a full-time player. They're asking him to crush lefties. And Giants fans' memories right now are short because they're mad. But if you want to look at the last 6 years of Austin Slater's career, he's very good at what he's asked to do. He's a very good outfielder. He's very fast, and he crushes left-handed pitching. And
OPS of 815 for his career against lefties.
Good God.
646 against righties.
Right. So, in
almost the identical amount of at-bats.
Not good against right-handed pitching.
Right.
Is an all-star against left-handed pitching. That's what you're asking him to do. Now, if you want to replace him with someone that could project as an everyday player, totally get that point. And that's a fair one. But there's a runway here. There's a runway here, and Austin has not run to the end of it yet. And so if we get to the end of June and deep into July and Slater still has 8 hits on the year, yeah, there's probably going to be a corresponding move there.
Agreed. They're
not going to just let this ride out forever. But just because the first 38 at-bats didn't look good after what he's done, what did you say, 815 OPS?
For his career.
For his career over
lefties.
6 years? Giants fans are just flicking that out the room? That's not okay. You have a short memory problem if that's what you think about Austin Slater.
Well, and your short memory is based on what he's done this year, which has been bad across the board.
No doubt.
He's not been good. And I do think that what you said before about, the whispers or the back of your mind, what's been, rattling around about what he would have gotten before the concussion, I still think that that's in play now. I think that Austin Slater is looking at the rest of this month to be a contributing player and to show signs of being the player that he used to be. And if you do get to the end of June and you're still hovering around 500 or a couple games below or whatever, and he's not producing, you're going to have to make a move. And then that would be it for Austin Slater.
Yeah. And I think that that's exactly the way it's going to go because that's where the Giants' mind frame is. It is cutthroat. It is urgent. It is, we have got to win right now.
Right.
And that's why that's also a piece of why this happened. You know what I mean? Matos can be crushed, and I don't mean to be insensitive. I want kids to grow, and I want them. I get it. You got to go through the bumps and bruises and whatnot, but dude, if you rock 3 weeks of batting 120, I don't know many players that would be like, man, in the organization, stupid organization. It's like, dude, you're not producing. You got to produce. And if Austin doesn't produce, the same thing's going to happen to him. Difference is he ain't going to Sac.
He's going away.
He's going to St. Louis.
Right. And, to that point, you look at tonight's lineup that's already out, and Austin Slater's not in there because they're facing a right-hand pitcher. So that's just the way that's going to go for Austin Slater. He's not going to get every opportunity to start. And, if they go to a lefty at some point in this game, he probably comes in and pinch hits. Maybe it's for Yaz. If Yaz is up there and they go to a lefty out of the bullpen, Austin Slater then has an at-bat, which is going to be huge for him. Every at-bat he gets against a left-hand pitcher is going to be giant for his, pun intended, for his staying power on this team.
The rest of the injury report has the same funny quirk that it had when they sent one out at the beginning of the week. Like, for instance, if all you want to say about a certain injury is they've resumed baseball activities, think of it. This is on the same injury report.
Right.
Nick Ahmed has resumed full baseball activities in Arizona.
Hitting, running, catching.
That's all
throwing.
It says. He has resumed.
I'm trying to think about what those activities are.
Full baseball activities. I would imagine that means hitting a ball. It means catching a ball.
Scratching yourself.
Throwing a ball.
Spitting.
Thank you. Chewing gum.
Yep.
Running.
Hanging out by the cage.
There you go.
Snapping a towel at somebody in the shower.
Getting some beers after the game.
Stuff.
He has resumed baseball, full baseball activity. 2 spots down is Marco Luciano. He is continuing all baseball activities, including base running, throwing, and hitting.
Okay, that covers it. Oh, wait. Base running,
throwing, and hitting.
What about the part where people hit him the ball and he has to
catch,
The ball.
The ball.
That's not included.
I don't know.
He has not resumed catching or missing the baseball.
That's a great question.
I do not. I do not have confirmation. I do not have confirmation that Marco brought a glove to Arizona.
Oh my God.
I don't know. Base running, throwing, and hitting.
He has not resumed baseball activities like booting and kicking and missing.
But if he is throwing, how is he getting the balls in the first place?
It could be that someone's handing it to him. You know how the quarterbacks warm up on the sideline and they got somebody next to him catching the ball and then they hand it to him. And then I think that's happening with Marco.
Right.
They're like, here, Marco, throw that thing to first
Maybe
base.
he's just throwing BP.
Could be.
All right. So there's that. Alex Cobb throwing out to 120 feet. Blake Snell's thrown out to 75 feet. Lamont Wade started throwing and hitting progressions the last couple of days. Robbie Ray's got 2 innings in the ACL tomorrow. That's not the Arizona Cactus League. Yeah, not that he's got his ACL. He didn't have a UCL, but he's got the ACL. Anyone else you care about? Oh, by the way, Tom Murphy. You remember that movie Darkman?
Yeah.
Tom Murphy's like Darkman. The Giants won't say anything about him. Everybody else has got these multiple sentences. You know, he's doing this. He's running in Arizona, and he's resumed baseball activities such as throwing and base running, and he's throwing out to 75 feet. Then you get to Tom Murphy. He is continuing his rehab.
Okay.
Period. And that's all we have to say about that.
Right. That's weird.
Continuing rehab.
Right. And he's on a 3-year deal. So you got Tom Murphy. You got Tom Murphy 3 years, $12 million.
Yes,
so
you do.
I wonder why they would be so vague with that. Maybe they aren't, super excited about rushing him back to actually play catcher again. Because things are pretty good right now with Bailey and Casale.
Well, Casale's a really good defensive catcher. He doesn't get a lot of hits.
Right.
Tom Murphy hits home runs. Like, he legitimately has a track record of hitting the long ball.
The old track record.
He does.
He's got one this year.
Well, yeah, he's only got, how many at-bats does he have?
38 plate appearances.
All right. How many ABs?
34.
Okay.
OPS of 446.
Not good.
Nah.
Not good.
He's 4 for 34.
Incredibly small
plate.
sample. Yeah. But no, right. Tom Murphy's a better hitter than Kirk Casale.
Yeah. He had 18 homers back in 2019.
There you go.
For Seattle, of course. It's a Farhan special. This guy was good 5 years ago. Let me trade a bag of balls for
Seattle. Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah, I got to get the cadence down.
Better. It's getting better.
It's a knee-hee-ha. That's what it is. Yeah. Thank you. I'm going to work on it. I'm going to dial it in.
Yeah.